Live desk joining you here on this Tuesday afternoon. It is a hot one in the city. Let's just say that as we give you a live look at downtown Milwaukee there. Already into the upper 80s. It's 87 degrees in Milwaukee on this Tuesday afternoon and climbing as we get some true summer-like temperatures before we get into officially summer on Friday. Summer Fest starting Thursday. But it's not just the big gig opening up on a Thursday. It is also Juneteenth, of course, Thursday, June 19th, the big parade in the morning, lots of activities and ceremonies around the Milwaukee area. And right now, we want to take you live to a press conference that's happening, getting us ready for the Juneteenth celebrations here in town. Let's listen in live to what's happening. This started a while ago, but trying to catch some of it for you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
In wagons or whatever, but thank God they made a kids zone. Now they got a senior zone. So now what we can do is take the kids and put them in the kids zone, and the seniors can sit and enjoy ourselves. I thank you. I thank Mr. Kearney or whoever organized this for the senior zone and for these kids zone. Let me tell you, come on, our seniors, and let's sit down and enjoy ourselves because we know our kids are in a safe place.
Okay, bear with me just a moment. There are two people that are important to the day-to-day operations of Northcott. We wouldn't be functioning if not for those two people. Ms. Vanessa Johnson. Mr. Ken Lowry. These two people not only run Northcott, but they are the ones who are really in control of what's happening with Juneteenth.
But I do appreciate Mr. Kearney got me out of retirement to work at Northcott, and I got tossed into Juneteenth and vendors, and it wasn't for Adeline, I don't know what I would have done. But I'm really enjoying myself. I'm enjoying working with the vendors. This is really an exciting time for me. You know, as you age, I can remember when I was a little girl going down to Juneteenth, my dad used to lead the police in the motorcycle, and that was so long ago because they don't even have the motorcycle police leading the parade anymore. But I'm just really excited that 40 years later, I can come and see what's happening with Juneteenth, and I'm on the front ends of getting the vendors. This is a really exciting time for me.
Hello everyone, welcome. Thank you all for your participation this year. We have come a long way. We're at the finish line, so please make sure you have everything you need before we start. 8 o'clock, the streets close, and I know how it goes. Mr. Laurie, we need. It's going to be impossible, so I'm going to just say, okay. Now, you might not get it, but I'm going to say, okay. So we know everyone, make sure we're all on task. Let me know what we need before it's too late. We got one more day to prepare. So we'll be scrambling to make sure we got everybody's needs taken care of. I have to meet with volunteer group to see what their needs are outside of what we already talked about, Frank. I also have to meet with the parade group to see what you all need. Everyone else we've already spoken to. Ms. Davis will take the tour, so we'll make sure we set up senior zone the way she wants. We don't want any trouble out of our seniors, so we're going to make sure they're comfortable. Because Granny don't play, Ms. Davis don't play. So that's all I have for you all. Thanks again for coming. Thanks to everyone that's participating. We appreciate you.
Okay. Last but not least, in order to function, we need a lot of volunteers, a lot of committed people. So, Mr. Harris and Ms. Wright, can you come forward? Okay, big friend.
Good afternoon. My name is Frank Harris. I'm from Beta Philanthropies. This is my second year being the chair for the volunteers. It was a long process. We've been doing it since January to today. Last Friday we closed down the polls. We had 260 volunteers starting from 5 in the morning to the end of Juneteenth. And when, about a month ago, we only had 75. So I thank everybody for going online and signing up to make this festival what it is today. As a kid, I grew up in the Harambe neighborhood, being able to watch the parade and wanting to be a part of it. So I really thank Mr. Kearney and Northcott Neighborhood House for letting me be a part of it for 2 years. I really don't have nothing too much to say, but let's have a good festival, and I'll see y'all at the finish line.
Okay, thank you. The last person that I'd like to introduce, she's a bit rough sometimes. She's like that little devil that's on both sides of the arm. You're supposed to have an angel on one side, right? She's that little devil that's on both sides. Mr. Tamara Hogan's. I didn't call Cleopatra Jones up here, I called Tamara.
Well, my name is Tamara Hogan, and I am the Neighborhood Engagement Director for Beta Philanthropies. And it is always an honor to work with all of our partners, especially during this time for Juneteenth. It's an amazing event. We have great partnerships going on. Everybody works really hard. And we have a great team that supports us. Beta Philanthropies enjoy being a major sponsor. We enjoy helping with 'Tis the Season and many other events, all things events in the Harambe neighborhood. And I appreciate Tony, and I appreciate all the work that he does to make the pageant successful, Juneteenth, the Freedom Ball, all of it, it all comes together at the last minute, but we'll do better. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Tamara. Ms. Cleopatra. So, our hostess, Ms. Sheila Carter,
How's everybody doing today? We just want to thank you guys for taking the time to come out to our Clinton Rose home. We have an expression here, once you walk in those doors, you are family to us. So let me say we value, we love each and every one of you. And we are excited for this year's annual Juneteenth celebration. Because of each and every one of you. Know that you guys are important. Know that this amazing work would not happen without amazing people like you. We love you, and you guys have a blessed rest of your day.
thank you very much for coming. I appreciate you all. There'll be no Juneteenth without the planning committee. I get a lot of credit, and I get the shotgun blast too. But I don't make this happen by myself. The committee does it. Sometimes they tell me off too, we can go do that, but the reality is this is a community event. Community is involved. And Nicole, Andrea, although I'm upset with Andrea right now. She abandoned me. Andrea was the MC for the Juneteenth opening ceremony for 16 years? 20. Now she ran off to do the parade. But that's okay. We'll have Giddy Burdine on stage for opening ceremonies. He's a hometown boy and a neighborhood boy. So, Gideon, you do a wonderful job. Nicole, thank you very much for always putting forth a great team. That's Miss Nicole Buckley of WTV Church. So thank you all. I really appreciate you. And have a good rest of your day. See you Thursday.
There you have it. If you're just joining us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, that was a bit of a preview of what's to come 2 days from now. Different community leaders discussing what's in place for the Juneteenth parade that's planned for Thursday morning here in the city of Milwaukee. One of the oldest and best celebrations of Juneteenth takes place right here in our city, and it's coming again on this Thursday, of course, marking the day the final slaves, I believe it was Galveston, Texas, learned that they were in fact freed years after the Emancipation Proclamation. It took Union soldiers arriving at that town in Texas and freeing the final slaves following the Civil War. Juneteenth celebrations will be a whole day of events, but the parade in the morning on Thursday is going to be a whole lot of fun with Fox 6 marching in that parade as well, and then a number of different things, including a tie-in to Summerfest. And the opening day of the big gig happens to fall on Juneteenth this year, so there will be a whole series of musical acts tied into those celebrations on Summerfest's opening day as well. So that's some of the fun and some of the good ceremonies coming our way locally here in Milwaukee. I want to see if we can catch something that's certainly made a big story nationally right now. Different officials from California have been speaking about more charges when it comes to immigration protests, of course, that started in Los Angeles and spread around the country. But let's listen into some of the new line of questioning, excuse me, as that just went down. There's the proper feed for you from California and some of the different officials speaking here.
Buenos días a nuestra comunidad habla hispana. Estamos aquí hoy para anunciar cargos adicionales que han sido presentados a nuestra oficina en relación con las protestas de inmigración que han ocurrido en las últimas semanas. Queremos agradecer nuevamente a los cientos de oficiales.
And of course, right as I do that, they switch over to the Spanish language presentation port of that. Let's actually take a quick break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We just heard the part of the Juneteenth plan set up there. We'll see if we can find something else for you on the other side of this break. If the line of questioning continues with California officials, we'll bring you that, a State Department briefing, and plenty of local news as well here on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back. It's the Wisconsin Live Desk. Carl Defmo with you here on this Tuesday afternoon as we're tracking a number of different things for you right now, including some of the questioning in the Karen Reed trial. There were a series of questions from the jury, which has been deliberating now for a second day, to the judge relating to charges, evidence in this second murder trial of Karen Reed, the woman charged with killing her Boston police officer boyfriend. While deliberations continue there, we'll bring you any other updates. But again, the jury has had a series of questions for the judge today. So some of the lawyers have been in and out of the courtroom. No final verdict or anything like that yet. Let's get you back to some of the California officials discussing a series of arrests after immigration protest in California. And just as I say that, I believe that briefing is over. That's the way it goes. All right, so we just missed the tail end of that. But a couple of the other things that we're watching for you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk on this Tuesday. This will be a State Department briefing coming momentarily at some point. Certainly something that we will try to bring you when that happens. We are also waiting an update from the Israeli Defense Forces. A spokesperson from the IDF is supposed to give a statement to the media that will initially be in Hebrew, followed by an English statement after that. And we will certainly try to bring you that as we follow the continued fallout of strikes and war in the Middle East between Israel and Iran. One of the things coming out of the White House today was a post from President Donald Trump, who says the U.S. knows where Iran's leader is hiding, but won't kill him, quote, for now. So continued tension as the U.S. military is also sending a series of resources to the Middle East to kind of bolster support there. Meanwhile, strikes continue from Israel into Iran and from Iran back to Israel. Certainly something the State Department spokesperson, I'm sure, will be briefed about today and have some questions from the media handled there, as well as what we're hoping to bring you from an Israeli Defense Forces spokesperson coming. One of the other things we're tracking, of course, the continued back and forth in Washington. This is a live look where members of the U.S. Senate can step up to the podium, address the media there as they see fit. We're waiting to see if, in fact, there will be any updates during this stretch of the Wisconsin Live Desk. 12:48 here in Central Time right now. That would be 1:48 out in our nation's capital. We're here with you until 2:30 Central each and every day. So if any of these Senate leaders step to the podium there, Democrat, Republican, Independent, we'll try to bring you some of their comments because there's a lot going on, certainly when it comes to international politics, ongoing conflicts in the Middle East and Ukraine, as well as Senate deliberations over the administration's spending bill and what could make it through or could be passed or not. So a lot to deal with there. Now, we also mentioned what a beautiful day it is. Summer has arrived a few days early here as we give you a live look from our photojournalist Bo Geiger out and about for us along the shores of Lake Michigan there. A beautiful shot of the water. And the thing that I noticed, too, the last day or two, we can actually see blue skies. We had so much of that wildfire smoke from California over the last week or two. Well, finally, yesterday and certainly today, we're able to enjoy that beautiful sunshine that we've had because the smoke has cleared to some degree. You're seeing a bit of a breeze, but don't be fooled. It's not cool even by the lake. Sometimes cooler by the lake, not necessarily the case today, as we'll pop up our friendly friends back in the weather office, their weather graphics for us. 87 in Milwaukee, 90 down in Kenosha, and just a tad cooler as you get inland today out to Waukesha and even as far west as Madison. But man, Kenosha, you're the winner here on this hot Tuesday afternoon, already touching 90. And for those of us here in the Milwaukee area, we're going to get into the 90s by this weekend. Of course, the first weekend of 3 for the big gig and Summerfest back this year. Well, Saturday is supposed to be 90, and then Sunday, which there won't be any music at the lakefront, but still a lot of people out and about trying to enjoy it, that's going to get up potentially to 94. So a lot to enjoy outside. Maybe you can get one of those great boats along the river out into the harbor with our great lake here. As I switch it over, I believe we're catching some people enjoying the water there. Looks like a jet ski pulling one boat and another fisher boat out and about on Lake Michigan already today. But a reminder, with those high temperatures, you certainly want to make sure you're staying hydrated, doing it safely if you're enjoying the great outdoors over the next few days. Some rain in the forecast tomorrow, but that's okay because Thursday is really the big day in terms of events in Milwaukee with Juneteenth and Summerfest's opening day. So that's the day that thankfully looks hot but clear when it comes to rain. We might get some fairly serious storms coming in tomorrow, but that will move out in time for all of Thursday's festivities. All right, I mentioned it. We are awaiting an update. Let me pull this up for you right now. From this member of the Israeli Defense Forces, a spokesperson here, I believe this was going to be a briefing in Hebrew to start, and then after that, an English statement as well, as the continued strikes and attacks between Israel and Iran continue. Israel choosing to go through with preemptive strikes against Iran's nuclear program last week, and that has led to deaths on both sides. Hundreds of people in Iran and dozens in Israel have died in the strikes back and forth between the countries. While that continues in Hebrew for now, let's try to take advantage of that and get you a quick break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Hopefully you can catch the statement from this Israeli Defense Forces spokesperson when he switches over to English. We'll try to get you that on the Wisconsin Live Desk when we join you after this short break.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey, welcome back. Carl Deffenbaugh with you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Let's get you right to that Israeli Defense Forces spokesperson I mentioned has switched over to English now. Let's listen into the update.
Was based on real-time and emerging intelligence. We have delivered significant blows to the Iranian regime, and as such, they have been pushed back into central Iran. They are now focusing their efforts on conducting missile fire from the area of Isfahan. We are aiming at military targets. They are attacking civilian homes. The IDF will continue to operate with precision, strength, and resolve to ensure the safety of the people of Israel. Israel faces threats on many fronts. While we are working to remove threats from Iran, we are still fighting their proxy, Hamas, in Gaza, who is still holding 53 of our hostages in brutal conditions. We will not rest until they are returned home. Thank you very much.
There you have it, a brief update from the Israeli Defense Forces. Their ongoing conflicts in the region of the Middle East, both against Iranian forces and then also, of course, bringing up there at the end the ongoing war in Gaza between Israel and Hamas. So that continues today. While also happening, we can mention An update from the President of the United States. President Donald Trump said Tuesday that the U.S. knows where Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, is hiding, he says, during the Israel-Iran conflict. But Trump went on to say that he does not want the Ayatollah killed, quote, for now. Trump urged in a social media post saying Iran should unconditionally surrender as this 5-day conflict continues to escalate, missile strikes on both sides. Again, in that full statement, President Trump posted, "We know exactly where the so-called supreme leader is hiding. He is an easy target, but is safe there. We are not going to take him out." Parentheses, kill with an exclamation point, at least not for now. But we don't want missiles shot at civilians or American soldiers. Our patience is wearing thin. Some of those stronger comments continue to be focused towards Iran after urging the almost 10 million residents in Tehran, the capital city of Iran, to flee the capital city, flee for their lives, as he cut short a visit to the G7 summit in Canada, instead arriving back in Washington early this morning to have talks with his national security team because of the developments overseas in Israel. Let's see, I just want to bring you one thing really quick. That briefing just came back from the Israeli Defense Forces. Continuing in Hebrew, but showing you some graphics that they've developed, at least, of where some of their strikes have hit in Iran. And again, referencing the war in Gaza as well, with Hamas being an Iranian-backed terrorist group operating along the Gaza Strip. If that is to switch over to English once again, we will try to carry this for you in full. But the visuals are certainly interesting, especially for those of us not as familiar with the actual geography of the Middle East, showing you some of the different regions targeted by Israeli Defense Forces, some of the items they're going after here, and then, of course, with the big warning both from Israeli forces and from President Donald Trump of the United States, urging people in the Iranian capital city of Tehran to evacuate and flee because of what may come. And we know Tehran was the site of attacks from Israel already during this 5-day conflict. Now, some of the back and forth here has been interesting, all of this changing by the days here, but President Donald Trump actually contradicted his own national intelligence director when it came to Iran. This goes back to March. Tulsi Gabbard, the National Intelligence Director, was testifying before Congress and was clear that Iran was not building a nuclear weapon. But the president more recently, as of today, kind of dismissed that previous remark, saying, "I don't care what she said," insisting Iran was very close to having a nuclear bomb. And in a stroke of serendipity, Gabbard is actually scheduled to again testify before Congress today. So if that is to happen during the Wisconsin Live Desk here, we'll try to bring you that, an interesting back and forth between what the president says and what a member of his own national security team said in front of Congress just a few months ago. We are also hoping to bring you this State Department briefing here. A spokesperson from the U.S. State Department supposed to speak to the media relatively soon. Of course, this is going to be a chief topic of questioning from the media, as well as, I'm sure, from that spokesperson's statements, as this has been the focus for the United States since the preemptive strikes from Israel began last week, with the president even choosing to leave the G7 summit, a major summit in Canada between world leaders, some of the closest U.S. allies, and some of the biggest economies in the world. Those leaders meeting to discuss trade policy, foreign relations, and the like. And President Donald Trump choosing to instead leave that G7 summit in Canada a day early, returning to the White House this morning because of all that was happening in the Middle East, saying that he needed to have urgent talks with his national security team. So we are following a number of different things for you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, keeping an eye on the news around the world. and lucky to say it, the beautiful weather those of us here in Wisconsin can enjoy on this Tuesday afternoon. Certainly helps keep things in perspective, relative stability and calm here along Lake Michigan on this Tuesday, while it is anything but at other parts of this planet. Let's take a short break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We'll see what we have for you after this when we rejoin you.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey, Carl Defenbaugh back with you on this Tuesday afternoon, here with you each and every Monday through Friday, 12:30 to 2:30. It's the Wisconsin Live Desk here on Fox Local, as well as on our FOX6 News Milwaukee YouTube channel. Hey, look, our vehicle's on the move. Photojournalist Bo Geiger in our Fox 6 weather vehicle out and about today on a beautiful, if very hot, a summer-like Tuesday, just a few days before the official start of summer on the calendar, at least this Tuesday. It is 88 degrees and climbing, 92 now down in Kenosha. Keeping track of the weather for you. He was just along the lakefront, now cruising through some of those east side neighborhoods on a bright, sunshining day, I believe, coming up towards Lake Park as well as some of the other places. Excuse me, not Lake Park, one of the other places around. If you know Lake Park right now, it's a construction zone, so definitely not where he sees. There's far few orange barrels. All right, let's get you back to some of the news of the day from around our city and around the world. One of the things we're tracking is an arrest by Immigrations and Customs Enforcement agents in New York City of the city's comptroller, who also happens to be a Democratic mayoral candidate. A gentleman by the name of Brad Lander was arrested by federal agents at an immigration court on Tuesday. He was trying to accompany a person out of a courtroom at the time. A reporter with the Associated Press said that the arrest happened at a federal building in Manhattan, and that the person that Lander was walking out of the courtroom with was also arrested. Captured a video of the arrest by an AP reporter showed an agent telling Lander that you are obstructing. And just to be clear, this did happen in New York City, not in Milwaukee, which I was showing you a shot of. Again, different politicians gathering right now, trying to bring you some of those statements when they begin. They're just getting set right now. And let's see as well, the Israeli Defense Force spokesperson was taking questions momentarily.
Shamadani held the role for only 4 days before meeting the same fate as his predecessor. This mission was based on real-time and emerging intelligence. We have delivered significant blows to the Iranian regime, and as such, they have been pushed back into central Iran. They are now focusing their efforts on conducting missile fire from the area of Isfahan. We are aiming at military targets. They are attacking civilian homes. The IDF will continue to operate with precision, strength, and resolve to ensure the safety of the people of Israel. Israel faces threats on many fronts. While we are working to remove threats from Iran, we are still fighting their proxy, Hamas, in Gaza, who is still holding 53 of our hostages in brutal conditions. We will not rest until they are returned home. Thank you very much.
Turns out that was actually a replay of what we had heard earlier today. I was hoping to catch a little bit more of that for you there. The English presentation and statement from that spokesperson with the Israeli Defense Forces after he'd taken a series of questions in Hebrew discussing the latest events overseas, as this has now been about a 5-day conflict between Israel and Iran, trading missile strikes as Israel is trying to hamper and hinder the Iranian nuclear program, killing the leader of the Revolutionary Guard last week, severely damaging different nuclear facilities, and even killing military scientists in Iran in that initial wave of strikes, which is then followed with more from Israel and responses from Iran as well into Israel, which have killed some Israelis also. Civilians on both sides have died in this ongoing conflict. The other thing that we're following for you, the State Department should have a briefing at some point here. I thought it was going to be a little bit sooner, but we have seen some activity in that room as more and more members of the media are filing into their seats about to ask their questions to a State Department spokesperson. And at the same time, we are also keeping an eye on what's happening in Washington, another part of our nation's capital, where a series of reporters are gathering right now about to get statements and questions from members of the U.S. Senate. Certainly, what is happening around the world is a top of mind for many politicians, many reporters in our nation's capital, but also the ongoing back and forth over the president's big, beautiful bill, so to speak. And the Treasury Secretary, as recently as this morning in a news release, said that the Senate Republicans' proposals for the tax cut bill will deliver the permanence and certainty both individual taxpayers and businesses alike are looking for, driving growth and unleashing the American economy. Now, Senate Republicans yesterday proposed actually steeper cuts to Medicaid, new work requirements for parents of teens, and keeping in place a current $10,000 deduction of state and local taxes, that's called SALT, to offset the costs of the tax breaks that President Donald Trump wants to become permanent in this bill. The president is pushing Congress to send a final product to his desk for signature to become law by the 4th of July. It remains to be seen if that will happen before the July 4th holiday. So we shall see, but the debate on Capitol Hill continues, with the Senate now considering President Trump's so-called big, beautiful bill. And as we're seeing a lot of activity in this hallway right now, again, this is a podium where different politicians, senators in this case, can step to the podium even for prepared statements or to take questions from the media. So if any of that happens here during our window on the Wisconsin Live Desk, certainly something that we will try to bring you live as well. And since we just saw this pop up, why don't I give you another shot of the White House, a little farther down from the Capitol building, down the National Mall, of course. The president returned to the White House early this morning after deciding to leave the G7 summit early. He was in Canada for a couple days there, meeting with different world leaders. There was something constructive coming out of it from the United States side of things. The president had a newly signed trade deal between the U.S. and the U.K. announced with both President Donald Trump and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. After that, the efforts are one of the things to come out of that G7 appearance. The Prime Minister from Britain, Keir Starmer, says he's confident that Trump is not about to take the U.S. into an Israel-Iran conflict, despite the president's early departure from the summit to deal with the escalating crisis in the Middle East. So certainly one of the big topics that world leaders, including the Prime Minister of Britain, discussed after trade was kind of the president's focus going to Canada. It remains to be seen what will come out of some of the other meetings he had before leaving the G7 summit early yesterday. All right, we are hearing a little bit of an update from the State Department briefing. They could be coming soon, maybe about a 4-minute warning or so from that. So let's take you to another break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, trying to get you something after this short break. Thanks for watching.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey, happy Tuesday, everybody. Carl Deffenbaugh back with you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, coming up on 1:15 almost here. We're going to switch things over to Kim Murphy around 1:30. She'll be handling the second hour of the Wisconsin Live Desk for you as our reporters are out and about gathering some information for you on the stories of the day here in southeastern Wisconsin, across our great state, and of course around the country as well. Hey, it's always fun to see a car on the move, right? Not a bad commute if you're heading out and about for a late lunch, early afternoon, or something like that. As our Fox 6 crew there, Bo Geiger, our photojournalist, gave us some beautiful shots of the wonderful weather along Lake Michigan. Some of the people out in some boats enjoying it today as well. And he appears to be on his way home, and up 43, getting northbound to head back up to our studios here in Brown Deer, north of Milwaukee. Now, some of the other news of the day, let me get you a shot of the White House, too, because the president certainly has been front and center in a number of different topics for you today. We're following a number of different things. So the president leaves the G7 summit in Canada early to head to Washington and discuss some of the issues in the Middle East with his national security team. Today, the statement from the president, quite the statement as well, saying that the U.S., because of intelligence, knows where Iran's supreme leader is located, according to the president, hiding during the Israel-Iran conflict, but does not want the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei of Iran, killed, quote, for now. In a social media post, Trump posted that he wants Iran's unconditional surrender, all caps, as right now it's a 5-day conflict between the forces of Israel and Iran. So we are following that for you right now. While another big story comes to us, stateside in New York City. Quite the moment. Some of the photos we're seeing of the arrest of New York City's comptroller, as well as a Democratic mayoral candidate. A man by the name of Brad Lander was running to be the next mayor of New York City while also serving as the city's comptroller. He was arrested by federal agents at an immigration court today trying to accompany a person out of a courtroom. And we don't have a live feed from New York City, so that's why we're showing you the White House right now, because of course this goes back and forth with the way the administration has implemented immigration policy since President Donald Trump retook office in January of this year. More recently, we have seen the step up of ICE arrests around the country, certainly led to protests in Los Angeles, spread to protests around the country. Well, today, the arrest of an elected official in New York City and a potential Democratic mayoral candidate, Brad Lander. He had been spending the morning observing immigration court hearings. He told an AP reporter that he was there to, quote, accompany some immigrants out of the building. And there's video of this arrest now captured by a reporter with the Associated Press. It shows an ICE agent telling Lander that you are obstructing. In the moments before Lander was handcuffed, agents could be seen trying to physically separate Lander from a man that they had come to detain. Now, Lander did, according to this AP report, briefly struggle to stay close to the detainee before he was pulled away, and then he himself arrested both the man he was with as well as Brad Lander, the New York City comptroller, arrested this morning. And when we can get you some images or video of that, we will try to bring you that on the Wisconsin Live Desk as well, because it is certainly, from what we're seeing, quite a notable moment in the biggest city in our country, New York City, here this morning. All right, let me switch you over to our whole team of networks and feeds here for you. The State Department briefing is coming momentarily. This is, of course, Capitol Hill, where it appears reporters are also waiting for different U.S. senators to step to the podium and address the media. A whole range of topics, whether it's the wars overseas, whether it's immigration issues in our country, or the ongoing discussions over President Trump's big, beautiful bill and whether or not it can, in fact, get to his desk for him to sign into law before the 4th of July, as the president has requested. We shall see if that is the case. The Senate making some changes to the bill versus what was passed in the House by a narrowest of margins, now up for debate with some changes coming in the Senate's version of the bill. That remains to be seen. And then we are also awaiting this, the State Department briefing that appears to be happening momentarily. We've seen more and more, as you can see, media members entering this briefing room. A spokesperson from the State Department expected to speak on that today. But while we await all those things for you, here it is the Wisconsin Live Desk, giving you a shot of the biggest city in the state of Wisconsin, the skyline of Milwaukee, coming at you from our Esterbrook Park Tower camera. Gorgeous day today, and I mentioned some of those temperatures earlier. Why don't we show it to you real quick using our handy graphics put together by our team of Wisconsin weather experts back there. It is 88 degrees in Milwaukee right now. Kenosha is winning top billing with 92 on the thermometer there. A little bit cooler if you're up near like Juneau, Fond du Lac area, just around the upper 70s and 80. But man, it is a hot one pretty much across the state right now. Also tons of sunshine as we give you a look at the satellite and radar approaching the 1:30 half hour. Just clear skies out there, and we actually get to enjoy it, seeing the blue skies and the lack of wildfire smoke certainly coming through on this Tuesday afternoon. All right, as I just told you, we're kind of in a little bit of a holding pattern, so apologies for that. A couple different things about to start soon that we will bring you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, but in the meantime, another break here, and we'll see what we find after these 2 minutes.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Good afternoon, Carl Deffenbaugh with you here. It is 1:22 on this Tuesday afternoon. We've mentioned the weather here in southeastern Wisconsin, absolutely beautiful on this Tuesday afternoon. Summer doesn't start officially till Friday, although you could say it kind of starts Thursday with Summer Fest, the opening day on Thursday. It's apparently well underway in Pewaukee as we bring in our Waukesha County reporter Brett Lemoyne with us here. Yes, indeed, school is out. People have found the beach there behind you, Brett, but we're going to get into a little bit of a serious discussion. So set the scene for us today. Of course, you're in your short sleeves, great weather. A lot of people want to get out and about, and that's kind of what happened, but not the way that we want it last week.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking hundreds and hundreds of people that were here last week. Coincidentally or not coincidentally, it coincided with the end of the school year for a number of schools out here in Lake Country, and from what we're told, pretty much everybody and their brother came to Pewaukee Lake Beach here. You can see there's a lot of open space right now at the beach, but that was not the case last week. We were told that there were lots of teenagers that were causing some disruptions out here on the beach, in particular throwing things. The police, we're told, had to come break up some large crowds. There was also an issue with language, profane language that was taking place. So there were a number of business owners and also parents that were out here with little kids that voiced some concerns and voiced some complaints to the village. Well, tonight at 6 o'clock, the village board is going to take up this particular issue just as an informational issue at their village board meeting this evening, and they're going to try and address some of these problems that came up. Now, a lot of these problems, frankly, Carl, according to the village trustee that we spoke with earlier, Bob Brody, these are issues that a lot of them can't really be addressed, right? You can't address foul language at a beach. There's no way to police that. But what they have done is increase police presence out here in the village of Pewaukee. We have seen, you could almost set a watch by it, every couple of minutes, village of Pewaukee squads going down the road here and just kind of scoping things out and making sure that everything's on the up and up. As you look out into the road here, you'll see these crosswalks. That is another issue that the village is dealing with. And Trustee Rohde said, yeah, this is also a big problem. These young ladies following the signs, crossing at the crosswalk, but a lot of people are not. And that is causing some significant concerns when it comes to traffic and just overall motorists making sure that they don't obviously hit anybody. They don't want anybody to get hurt as they're out here enjoying this nice weather.
I imagine too, obviously the injuries, some of the profanity, things like that you certainly don't want, but for the businesses there, especially that great strip that's to your left right now, all the shops, this is kind of their heyday, right? This is getting into the season where they make so much of their money with people packing that beach, heading out onto the water. So what are some of those concerns when it comes to, hey, this is our time to shine. We need to make sure that we're actually maximizing this and not losing out on business.
Yep, you hit the nail on the head, Carl. We spoke with a manager over at the chocolate factory just over behind me here, and she was telling us, yeah, last week was a big problem because they had so many people that were coming in. They're trying to use their restroom. It's not a public restroom. There is a public restroom that's just on the other side of the park here. And also just using some foul language that was turning off some of their customers that were trying to enjoy ice cream and sandwiches that were in the shop. So they had to be proactive. They had to tell people to pack up and leave. The manager said it didn't come to the point where they had to call the police for those particular incidents, but they have in the past. They've had to do that. And like you said, this is a very busy time for them. This is when they make a bulk of their money because of all of the people that come out to this beach. It is one of, I think it may be the last free public beach in Lake Country. I think there's maybe one in Oconomowoc as well, but it's one of the few for sure that are out here that people visit frequently. We spoke with a couple of people that said, yeah, they come out here almost every week during the summer, and can you blame them? I mean, it is one of the best spots, I think, in Waukesha County.
Yeah, it certainly is, especially on a day like today, and some of the weather we're expecting for this weekend is as well, even hotter. So let me ask you about some of that sort of deterrence versus what you do after the fact. So you said there's increased police patrols and things like that. Hopefully, you know, just the visual reminder that law enforcement is in the area maybe deters people, but ultimately you can't stop a lot of this from happening. Are there other solutions being discussed, or that's just kind of the messaging expected tonight is, hey, let's all handle this, you know, in a mature way?
Yeah, that's going to be the crux of the discussion tonight at 6 o'clock at the village board meeting, Carl. They're going to try and brainstorm ways to kind of improve and set the tone out here. We spoke with one parent who said, yeah, she was kind of turned off by all of the bad language that she heard the last time she was out here. She's got to tell her kids and warn her children, you know, that these are words that you shouldn't repeat. But again, how do you police that? There is really no way. There's no ordinance that I'm aware of that would prohibit someone from using certain words in a public setting. So yeah, it is kind of a catch-22. But again, the village, I think, really wants to set the tone because there are two huge events that are coming up. One this weekend, the Kiwanis Beach Party that will be this weekend here at the lakefront. But the big one, Carl, is the 4th of July fireworks. And that is the single biggest event annually in the village of Pewaukee. The trustee that we spoke with says they expect between 8,000 and 10,000 people here. So that will dwarf the crowds that they saw just last week. But certainly they want expectations set, they want the tone set, because they want everyone to feel welcome, regardless of their age or regardless of what they're doing out here.
Yeah, good luck finding a place for your towel on the beach when there's thousands of people there trying to get a spot for the fireworks as well. Last question for you, Brett, before we let you get back to it. But any idea from officials there on why that happened specifically last week? Whether it was just a bunch of high school students or the like going stir crazy, ready to be out for the summer, or is that something that they've seen as kind of an ongoing issue, or there's the hope that that was a one-off event that they can kind of nip in the bud now getting into summer?
Yeah, it is kind of an ongoing issue, Carl, and as we said earlier, it was kind of a perfect storm of a number of things, right? It was beautiful weather, first and foremost, but the other issue was that a lot of the local schools, the high schools, let out at about the same time for the school year. So, in other words, everybody's done for the school year. A lot of people had half days on their last day, and where do they go? They come here, and they try and soak up the sun and make the most of the beginning of their summer breaks.
I hope you get a little bit of ice cream as a treat for all the hard work out there in the hot sun. Brett, thank you very much. We'll look for your reporting later today.
Thanks, Carl.
Here on Fox Local. But yeah, trying to make sure that it's a good summer along the shores of Pewaukee Lake there out in Waukesha County. Brett, thank you very much for joining us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Thank you, Carl.
As we let Brett get back to it there, a number of different things we're tracking for you here right around 1:29. We are getting ready to do the handoff. Kim Murphy standing by to take over duties here on the Wisconsin Live Desk for the second hour with you here on Fox Local, as well as the FOX6 Milwaukee YouTube channel. The State Department briefing that I mentioned earlier has just started. Let's bring you there live. Tammy Bruce is the spokesperson for the U.S. State Department, taking questions from the media. We'll use this to handle our handoff. Kim Murphy will be with you on the other side, but quite a day for her to be taking questions from the media with the 5th day of conflict now between Israel and Iran, the ongoing war in Ukraine, and President Donald Trump deciding to leave the G7 summit early, returning to Washington, D.C. overnight because of the conflicts in Iran and Israel. Let's listen in live, and Kim will be with you after this.
Is to contact your local embassy or consulate, let them know you're there. Make sure you know where they are, have those numbers, and that's what I would recommend, no matter where you're traveling, but certainly in the Middle East, is know where those entities are, know where the embassy is. So if you're in Israel, obviously it's Tel Aviv or it's Jerusalem.
Are they open?
Well, they will answer their phone. So there's contacts that can happen in the midst of all of this. And of course, I think that's the advice for wherever you are. But clearly, if you're in a certain area, it's obvious in this case that there are certain limitations in that region, and that contact the embassy, the one that is nearest to you, and you will, at the very least, make sure they know where you are, but also they will give you some options for the plans that you would like to make. Yes, Humaira.
Tammy, I understand your limitations, but I have to ask this.
I know you do. It's your job, and I appreciate that. I'm here to take questions, not necessarily always answer them.
Yeah, last
Yes,
night
ma'am.
President Trump said he wants a real end, not a ceasefire. So does the United States support or pursue regime change in Iran? Or are we just talking about dismantling Iran's nuclear enrichment? And would that include the United States helping Israel strike Fordo?
Well, I'm certainly not going to characterize what President Trump says or tweets, for that matter. He doesn't need characterizing. He's one of the most transparent, one of the most clear individuals that we've known. I think that we can take his word for his word, but I'm not going to speculate on, in a larger sense, what that would mean. That is up to the president. He is the singular guiding hand about what will be occurring from this point forward, as he has been. And I think that dynamic is pretty clear. He says he wants an end, as he has said about every conflict that he has, as a peacemaker, worked to stop peacefully through diplomacy. That has been his commitment. And he wants these things, as he said about a number of situations, not for a month or 6 months, but durable ends to this nature of forever wars. And that has been his posture, and that's his posture now.
Okay, I have an easier follow-up.
Yes, ma'am.
How many people...
I'll take a hard one, too. I'd say.
How many people so far have contacted U.S. missions in Israel or elsewhere, American citizens, seeking help to depart the country that they're in the Middle East?
Yes, I won't discuss those details or the numbers involved with the
Are you
embassies.
guys planning to facilitate charter planes to get people out or military evacuation?
I will not discuss what our plans are in that regard. Yes, ma'am.
Just to follow up on that really quickly.
Sure.
Are you guys considering at all operations that would help Americans who want to leave the region from evacuating?
I know that our commitment is to the safety and security of Americans around the world. All right? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Tammy, would the U.S. government like to see regime change in Iran?
First of all, I'm certainly not going to remotely address that. It would require me to speculate or speak on behalf of the president, which I will not do. What we've seen, though, is clear, is months and repeated statements that all he wants is a peaceful world. His activity and the nature of the actions that the United States has taken and his special envoys have been rooted in one thing, which is negotiations, looking for diplomatic solutions to generational problems that he wants solved diplomatically. That has been his constant posture. And there has been nothing that has changed in what he wishes for, what he would hope to accomplish. And so, of course, that's not something I'm going to address.
Is the U.S. government and the Israeli government on the same page when it comes to the intelligence about Iran's nuclear weapons program?
That is a question for the White House and perhaps the NSC. That's not something I can answer here. Nadia.
Thank you, Tammy. The president said he wants to see Iran offers unconditional surrender. I'm not going to ask you to comment on the president's statement, but I'm going to ask you if the secretary is involved in any kind of diplomatic missions with his allies, with the Germans, with the French, trying to offer something to the Iranians as a way out.
Well, I, again, would not speak on the details of any diplomatic conversations, if they occurred, between whom, what those details would be. We know, of course, the Secretary and the President were at the G7. Their constant work from the moment they came to office has been to, and certainly Secretary Rubio, was to open up conversations and to lead the world through diplomacy to make a difference. But that's the only thing that would guide me when it comes to the nature of the decisions they're making at this point. Yes, ma'am.
Without getting into the details of the conversations, is the door to diplomacy with Iran on its nuclear program still open from the U.S. perspective?
That would be a decision made by President Trump.
Have you heard from the Iranians signaling interest in continuing discussions?
That is not something that I can speak to. Yes, ma'am.
Going back to the consular piece of this in Israel, the latest security alert from the embassy there still says that the embassy is not in a place to evacuate or directly assist Americans. Do you have any timeline on when that might change for the Americans who are stranded in that country? And just looking at how quickly the security situation has changed there, the travel alert was raised to a level 4 from a level 3 for the entirety of the country. Is that a sign that the State Department was caught on its back foot a little bit by this change because Americans still can't get help?
I can say the answer to that last question is no. We are working 24/7 to ensure the safety and the security of Americans around the world. I can say that the Department of State is always planning for contingencies to assist private U.S. citizens' departure from crisis areas, and we will alert the U.S. citizenry community if there is and when there is additional information to share regarding their options during any crisis, but certainly this one as well. When it comes to how quickly people can expect a dynamic, the American government, the State Department, our militaries, you've seen all of these assets, all of these departments involved in this dynamic in one fashion or another, are working exclusively for the safety of this nation and the safety of the American people wherever they may be. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Tammy. At the top, you said that you're advising U.S. citizens not to travel to Israel or Iraq.
Take two. Welcome to the Wisconsin Live Desk for this Tuesday. I'm Kim Murphy, and you've been listening to the State Department briefing. And that last question there related to Americans who are traveling, who are in Israel right now, and many desperately trying to get home amid the tensions, the growing tensions between Israel and Iran. The question was the U.S. caught off guard, given that there were no travel advisories leading up to this past 5 days of back and forth bombings between Israel and Iran? Let's listen a little bit more to the briefing to see what else is on the agenda this afternoon.
Going to be traveling. It is not just for the Middle East, or if you're in a country right now, you can get your information there. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Two questions. In your topic, you also recognize American diplomats serving in Ukraine and Israel who spent another night in a bunker.
Yes.
But one of American citizens happened to be killed by the Russians last night in Ukraine. Do you have any comment on will the U.S. government act to protect American citizens in Ukraine?
Yes, we are aware of last night's attack on Kyiv, which resulted in numerous casualties, including the tragic death of a U.S. citizen. We condemn those strikes and extend our deepest condolences to the victims and to the families of all those affected. The president, in the recent past, has made his thoughts clear about striking the civilian areas in that regard. And just to reiterate again, which is at the thread throughout all of the work that we do, is the department has no higher priority than the safety and security of U.S. citizens abroad, and we can confirm the death of a U.S. citizen in Ukraine, and we stand ready to provide all possible consular assistance. And out of respect to the family during this obviously horrible time, we have no further details to offer in that regard.
And second topic, in light of Israel-Iran tension, some of our colleagues from VOA, Persian service, were called back reportedly. How much do the events of past few days signify the role of VOA and other outlets to counter these narratives from U.S. enemies?
Yes, I'm not going to go into the details of what we're doing when it comes to communications into that region or into specific countries. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Tammy. Two Iran-related topics. Number one, the administration kind of kept this conflict between Israel and Iran at arm's length over the first few days. And now, since last night and especially into today, we're hearing the president say, we more. We have control over the skies. We know where the supreme leader is. He's kind of taking more ownership of the situation directly. Is that feeling trickling down to this building as well? Is there more of a ownership of the situation in the State Department as well?
Well, I again can't characterize the feelings of the President of the United States. We know that he is our lead. We know that he is the guiding hand. We know that he is one of a few who know all the details, and he is clearly has a mission and an agenda that has involved diplomacy and changing the world for the better for people. In the meantime, of course, things change. Our experiences change. He's making comments that are a reflection of what what matters to him, and of course, what matters to the president matters to the State Department and every other department. I think that it is fair to say that his leadership and his reelection to the second term was because people here in the United States were tired of the status quo. And what the world has seen is a peacemaker and someone who can make a difference, and that's what they're looking forward to.
Question. Can I get in one more?
One more.
There's no special envoy for Iran Several key locations in the Middle East don't have a confirmed ambassador. We speak often about the day after situation in Gaza. What about the day after situation in Iran? Is the State Department ready for it?
Well, the State Department and the Trump administration, while you may not see things immediately, just because it's not maybe in the news or you're not present for things that occur, doesn't mean they're not occurring. I would remind everyone that the State Department, as I've found out, is sort of like the military. It's 24/7. It is not something that is a basic 8 to 5 dynamic. And it's because people are working around the world constantly. It is literally their mission. Personally, their work is what they do and are committed to. So while you may see a certain thing in a static framework, it doesn't mean that we have not worked on that or are not working on that or that things will begin to happen. So it's just a reminder that it's not about the day after. We are working before, during, and after. It is the anticipation of people with history and an experience when it comes to the history, not just of a building and of a department of the United States, but the history of people working on diplomatic issues throughout the world. And they work for this department. They are committed to those issues, and that is what makes the State Department so effective, in addition to the leadership that is afforded by Marco Rubio, as guided by Donald Trump. Yes, sir, you've been waiting.
Again, you've been listening to the State Department briefing, and sometimes these briefings can be rather routine because things are relatively quiet around the world, but in the last 5 days, that certainly has not been the case, with Israel launching surprise strikes on Iran over the last 5 days, Iran returning some of those strikes. So a lot of questions related to what is the U.S. position? Is the United States committing to a deeper involvement with Israel? The question was, we've heard the President Trump, speak in terms of we in the last couple of days. And the question was, does this indicate that the United States, again, is taking in a deeper role in this conflict between Iran and Israel? We know that yesterday evening, the president posted a warning urging people in Tehran to evacuate the city immediately. And so we are talking about millions of people this warning directed to, and we've heard reports of the roadways in Tehran, out of Tehran, just being clogged as people are trying to heed those warnings. But the concern is, where will these people go? And the regions to which they are escaping are not equipped to deal with this huge influx of people. They don't have the water supplies, they don't have the medical capabilities, there are fuel concerns that there will be fuel shortages. So there is a lot of chaos that is happening right now in Tehran, the capital of Iran, as civilians now are trying to find the safest place for themselves. And on the other side of that, Israel. Also, Israelites are scrambling to find safe places because they too have been under attack from Iran, returning bombings there. Our Ashley Sears spoke with a woman from Wauwatosa who just left 3 days ago, or 3 days prior to the conflict, had no idea that this was even a possibility. There were no travel warnings, advisories for that region, any elevated travel warnings, I should say. And so she is there with a group, and they are desperately trying to get back to the United States. Our last update is that they were supposed to take a boat from Israel to Cyprus, I believe, and from there try to arrange air transportation to get safely home to the United States. But that, of course, is deeply concerning to a lot of folks who may have family visiting in Israel or vacationing in Israel. And so we'll keep an eye on that. We also learned from the State Department briefing that one American has been killed in Ukraine and the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. And we're waiting to find out more details about that person and the circumstances. But this is something that we've not heard too many instances of this, of an American being killed in the war between Russia and Ukraine. And so as we get more details on that, we'll certainly bring them to you. And another note that we are watching today, President Trump also posting that the United States knows where Iran's supreme leader is, but at this point does not wish to kill him for now. That is the quote from the president. So those are deeply concerning words for folks who are watching the Middle East, fearful that what's going on between Israel and Iran may indeed escalate into an all-out war, bringing in other countries. And so there is a lot of fear, there is a lot of attention, there is a lot of urging for diplomacy to back away from this situation that only seems to be escalating 5 days so far. And we know that 9.5 million people live in Tehran. And just yesterday evening, President Trump urging them to find someplace else to get out of Tehran. And we know this morning that Tehran was the target of bunker busting bombs to target underground facilities dedicated to developing Iran's nuclear arsenal. And so we know that there was a strike this morning, and perhaps that was a little bit of foreboding or warning for those folks to try to find a safer space. So we're following that, and we're also waiting for the a hearing to begin in San Francisco at the top of the hour. California's Governor Newsom versus the Trump administration over who has the authority over the National Guard. This is all over the Trump administration's deployment of 4,000 National Guards to LA to assist ICE agents or to accompany ICE agents. Their role, that's one of the things that is at the heart of this conflict, is because traditionally National Guard troops are commanded by governors of each state. And when they are in the state, it's at the request. The deployments in LA was not at the request of Gavin Newsom, California's governor, and that is a great point of contention as we talk about the immigration enforcement raids that have ramped up under President Trump's second term, and now the National Guard being deployed. And the concern is that this is crossing over not only between states' rights and federal rights, but also the role of the Guard. The role of the Guard is not to police. It is to assist states, whether that be in times of natural disaster. We saw National Guard deployments during the pandemic when guardsmen were on hand to help administer testing, things of that nature. This is very close to the line of policing, although they've not been involved in actual enforcement, taking anyone into custody. They are being coupled with ICE agents, and so that is very concerning. And so just last week, California's governor applied for a temporary restraining order. That was granted, but while this whole thing works its way through court and through this hearing, the Guard still is in place in California, and so we are waiting for that to happen at 2 o'clock this afternoon. I'm Kim Murphy. You're watching the Live Desk. We're going to take a short
Now on Friday,
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Because I heard an announcement by the administration that.
And welcome back to Fox 6, the Wild Desk for this Tuesday. We're going to take you right now directly to a news conference. Democratic leaders are speaking on a number of issues related to legislation, and this is Senator Padilla from California. He is the senator that was involved. He was escorted out of a news conference being held by the Homeland Security Secretary by security, and let's listen to comments to that.
Has said, oh no, we are doubling down on our targeting of big blue cities. It's a blatant partisan attack and nothing less. We all have a responsibility to speak out. That was my appeal to my colleagues on both sides of the aisle. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican, a Democrat, or an independent. We all have a responsibility to speak out and push back before it is too late. You all saw what happened when I had the audacity to ask a question. And despite that, I will continue to speak up because I will not and we cannot give in to the overreach of this administration. Thank you.
Alex will wait around for a few questions that you, I'm sure, have, but I just have to say, I hope anyone here who didn't watch his speech watches it. It has all kinds of things that I didn't see reported in the media.
And you've been listening to Democrats respond to a number of questions, giving their briefing for the week, but you heard from Democratic Senator Alex Padilla of California speaking about the incident that happened earlier this week. He was attending a news conference being held by the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem. He had a question. He yelled out. The Homeland Security Secretary says that he was perceived as a threat because he was not wearing his U.S. Representative or Senate pin to identify that he was a member of Congress. And so he was unidentified at the point, and he was taken out forcefully and placed on the ground until it was ascertained his identity. Senator Padilla is responding to that, saying that what if it shouldn't matter that he's a member of Congress, that any member of the public has the right to ask a question, to attend a public event. And if this is how he is treated, his fear is for people who do not have credentials, how they will be treated when asking questions that are of concern to them. And the concern right now, talking about the ramped up ICE enforcement, that is the immigration enforcement, especially in Democratic states, Democrats would say, that have been targeted by this ramped up enforcement. And so we are going to just listen a little bit more into what Chuck Schumer has to say on this afternoon.
In terms of being threatened in one way or another, And we need a full investigation of who's making those threats and to stop it. And not just stop it, to make sure the whole force of the law is used against them, because almost all of these were, what was done was criminal in my judgment. So, but in any case, public servants and ordinary citizens should not have to fear their lives simply for doing their jobs. We believe we must take immediate steps to ensure the safety of members, and that includes sending significant additional funding and resources to the Capitol Police. Inside that room, there were a good number of Republicans who were nodding their heads and some who spoke out in favor of it. So we hope, believe, and sort of demand that it be bipartisan. Look at the administration. They're doing the opposite. USA Today reported that as lone actor attacks are on the rise, Trump cuts the program aimed at spotting them. The program called AIM, the program aimed at spotting them, is a program to spot, it's called AIM, lone actor violent domestic extremists. They were taken out of that program and put in other roles. And since Trump took office, the administration has sunk the program that goes after people like this to 10 people, led by a 22-year-old.
And you're listening to U.S. Senator Chuck Schumer speaking, referencing the situation that happened in Minnesota over this weekend. A lone gunman targeted lawmakers, state lawmakers, killing a lawmaker and her husband and wounding another lawmaker and his wife. They were shot multiple times. They are expected to survive, but certainly not out of the woods, shot multiple times, that couple. And so we're also learning, we've learned that the suspect who was found, Vance Bolter, does have some ties to Wisconsin, apparently attending Cardinal Stritch for a number of years, living in Wisconsin during that time. As we work to find out more about his motive and more about his movements. But Schumer there, Senator Schumer, speaking about the federal efforts to identify, to preempt such violence before it happens, and that there's been cuts to programs, to agencies that monitor, identify or try to identify folks who may be a threat to public safety. And on that note, we can also tell you President Trump was asked earlier today if he has any plans to call Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota to speak about the situation, to offer any assistance. And President Trump said that he will not call Walz, saying that there's no point to it, saying that there's just no point to it. So do not expect there to be any call between the White House and Minnesota. And perhaps this is a little carryover from the election. Of course, Walz was on the Democratic ticket as the vice president nominee. And so maybe it's just a little too soon for those pleasantries or that assistance to be offered. But other agencies in the administration have said that they will assist in the investigation into exactly what happened, how this happened, and what we know about the suspect and his motives. We're also waiting in a couple minutes, some good news closer to home. Milwaukee police are expected to graduate another class of officers. And so that has also been a huge debate, especially in the last couple of weeks with the increase in shootings, especially in an area concentrated around 46th and Hampton. Not only have there been a number of shootings, there have been a number of deaths because of those shootings. And just last week, a Milwaukee police officer was shot when he was on patrol with his partner and observed what looked, two people flashing guns. They actually got a citizen came up to them and alerted them to two men allegedly flashing guns, and that was what led to that situation. But it has brought light to what is the staffing situation within Milwaukee, the police department. And we do know of at least one evening, a Tuesday evening, about 2 weeks ago in District 7, where the shooting also happened, that there was only one patrol assigned to the district. And the police association sounding the alarm on that, saying that this is definitely of concern for public safety. The police department, Chief Norman, countered that the log did not accurately reflect who was on duty, that there were other resources that were responding to calls that were not accurately reflected. But there is an admission by the mayor, by the police chief, that recruitment efforts have been difficult, not just for the city of Milwaukee, but for metropolitan areas all across the country for reasons that you can understand. But Milwaukee is looking for, I believe, 65 recruits per class. And the city's budget, Mayor Cavalier Johnson's budget calls for 65 recruits and 3 classes. And we know the last recruitment class was woefully under that, 26 graduates, I believe, and that was in February. So now this is the second police recruitment class to be graduating. So that is adding more officers on the streets. What will be interesting is to find out the number of officers who are graduating and how close it comes to the goal of adding more officers. So I'm going to see if we can bring that to you. There you go. That's a little bit of the setup for this afternoon, but this is of huge importance for the city because when we hear these public meetings, we hear over and over again the request for more officers on the street. Our Jason Calvi is attending this graduation, and we'll have much more on what we know about this recruitment class, what the mayor has to say, what the police chief has to say. But let's listen in because it appears that the ceremony is beginning.
All uniformed personnel, present, out! Present, arms. Order, arms. Ready, wait.
And as you are watching another class of Milwaukee police officers graduating, a new class of recruits, we're also keeping an eye on a situation that is happening in San Francisco. A 3-judge panel is now deciding the authority of who should command the National Guard. This is Newsom versus Trump, California's governor, saying that the federal government does not have the right to send National Guard troops to any state without the express invitation or request from the governor. So we're watching both of these situations. We're going to go back to right now the graduation for the police class, and as soon as things start with the Newsom versus Trump hearing, we're going to take that full.
Police department in the world. The separation from family and loved ones, the weeks of training, the educational and physical demands, everything that brought them here today, proud, professional, and ready to serve. The future looks just a bit brighter because these men and women stand ready to give their best to protect and serve the citizens of Milwaukee. Please grant them strength to carry on the watch in a manner that brings honor to the Milwaukee Police Department and to you. We extend our appreciation to their families and friends who provided them support and love along the way. We offer our gratitude to the men and women of the Police Academy who invested countless hours into leading, guiding, training, and mentoring them. For these fine men and women as they graduate, and for all the members of the Milwaukee Police Department, we ask that you bless them, watch over them, guide them, and protect them.
Jason Calvi is following this story, and we're going to check back in with him shortly after this is all done. But let's go to San Francisco and let's listen into this hearing that's a lot of states are watching to find out if the Trump administration does have the right to send National Guard troops to whatever they are called to do with ICE enforcement, if the federal government can overstep states' rights. Let's listen in.
There's actions. But in the normal course, the level of resistance encountered by federal law enforcement officers is not zero, right? You go to arrest people, and sometimes they don't want to be arrested, and they run away, or you even resort to violence, and sometimes they get away. So does that mean that the president, every day is unable to execute the laws, and he could invoke this, whenever?
Well, I think, let's remember, the president also takes an oath to support and defend the Constitution. He has an obligation to take care of the laws or get them executed.
And just to give you a little explanation of what's going on, you can see that the three-judge panel, the Ninth Circuit, I believe, they are appearing via video. The folks that are in the audience, those are spectators. And so this is how this is going on. So there'll be, no one actually in the court for this hearing, but this is how this is happening. I can imagine that there are reporters that are in that room gathered to find out what the outcome is. But if this looks a little different, where the judges aren't actually seated in the courtroom, they are appearing via video.
So does the United States still argue that this case is governed by the political question doctrine?
I think that's an alternative argument. The argument we're pressing today in our motion papers are the Dalton and Martin line of cases that this statute confers unreviewable discretion on the president.
But with regard to your alternative argument about the political question doctrine, are you aware of any Supreme Court or Court of Appeals case in which the political question doctrine has been applied to a claim alleging that the executive branch violated a statute?
I don't know off the top of my head, Your Honor. Again, the argument that we're pressing today.
We're following two stories happening at once. This is happening to your left, California, a hearing on who has authority over the National Guard. On your right, a new police class is graduating. And let's listen in to Milwaukee Mayor Cavalier Johnson.
Let's just be real frank and let's be real honest. I know that many of you who are sitting here, not just our new police officers, but folks in our community more broadly, you probably still have in your mind concerns about the recent police shooting. It's probably still fresh in your mind. But believe me when I tell you this. I get the chance to travel all throughout the city each and every single day to neighborhoods all over Milwaukee, to every single neighborhood. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, people in this city, they want and need and respect the police. You need to know that. You need to know that, and I see it every single day. That's precisely the reason precisely the reason why Sam, Officer Schwabenlander, was there, why he was flagged down by citizens over on Hampton Avenue when somebody who was too old and knew better was brandishing a gun. The citizens flagged him down because they wanted the police to be there. They wanted the police to intervene. They wanted the police to do something about it. Because at the end of the day, all of us, every single one of us, we want to feel safe and we want to believe in those who serve us, who step up to protect and serve our community. Milwaukee needs officers like you, ready to face those challenges, ready to lead with compassion. Milwaukee needs officers who listen as well. Officers who don't just serve the community, but live in it, that know it, that respect it, and really that care about it. That's exactly what we need out of our police. Now, you've already proven yourselves through a rigorous training program. Now you're joining a department focused on building partnerships, reducing violence in our community, and making Milwaukee safer for literally everyone that comes here. And that's especially true in this city. When you think about it, I mean, we're the largest city in the state of Wisconsin. Roughly 1 in 10 or so Wisconsinites that call this state home, they live here in this city. When you think about the people who come in every single day for work or play, they come into Milwaukee. When you think about people who visit the state of Wisconsin, a significant portion of those folks, they come to Milwaukee. And all of those different constituency groups, they're all relying on you. They're all relying on our police. So you've got a big job. So with that, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for stepping forward. Thank you for showing up. And thank you for helping to build a stronger Milwaukee for all of us, for all of our neighbors, for all of our citizens. Congratulations, really, from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of the city, and welcome to the Milwaukee Police Department. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your encouraging words. Our final speaker this afternoon is the Chief of Police for the Milwaukee Police Department and our commanding officer, Chief Jeffrey Norman.
Good afternoon. I've heard better. Good afternoon. I'm so appreciative of that. This is a happy day, this is a proud day, this is a day to celebrate. Let's encourage our new recruits in regards to what they're getting themselves into in regards to work they're doing. This is where we are giving them the best send-off by ensuring that we say it loud and proud that we are proud of them. Congratulations, 324. Thank you and a warm welcome to all those who are here today, family, friends, men and women of the badge. We appreciate you showing up to take part in the celebration. I also like to recognize, I saw there's a couple other individuals came in. I know that our Fire and Police Commission Chair, Miriam Horwitz, just stepped in the room. Thank you. I also like to recognize a visiting guest, a dignitary from Boston Police Department, Superintendent Lenita Cullinane. Please, the recognition there. And as always, without no hesitation, rreservation, or consternation, I'd like to recognize the baddest band in the land, our Milwaukee Police Band, led by retired Lieutenant Karen Dubas. Let's give a round of applause to the band and to the woman behind the band. As always, I want to recognize our wonderful, wonderful family of any of our fallen officers. Please stand to be recognized. We love you and thank you. Please, German families, please stand and be recognized. And anyone else who's here. We're so appreciative of your commitment to us and your love, so thank you. And I always like to take the time to recognize the men and women in the Milwaukee Police Department, all of those who are here, part of my command staff. These individuals protect our community 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, holidays included. Please, let's thank our police officers who make up this fine department. But I'm not going to take away from your day. Today is your day, Class 324. We appreciate the dedicated, diverse men and women who are sitting before me, choosing to serve our department. Today, I want to thank you for all choosing our city, choosing our community. I also want to thank the family and friends here who have supported them during this numerous weeks in regards to their training. Training is not easy. And I want to continue to thank the family and friends who are here today to continue to support these individuals as they continue their career, their long-serving career with the Milwaukee Police Department. We appreciate you. But as we all know, the training is not easy, but it is trained by the finest instructors, not in the city, not in the county, but in the state. Appreciate Academy Commander Tim Gerke and his fine crew who have made sure that you were trained by the best. Ready for anything.
Milwaukee Police Recruit Class 324 on the verge of becoming official Milwaukee police officers. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in 120.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
I'm Kim Murphy, and we are listening to the Milwaukee Police graduation, which is happening right now. Chief Norman welcoming the new recruit class.
In a protecting the constitutional rights way, in a professional way. So I'm thankful that you're all stepping up to the call of service, stepping into the arena. Understand that you may be nervous about this next phase in your career, but know that you do not walk alone. That we as your leaders, your executive command staff, those of us who have invested in you, your friends and family in this room, all are here to help you along your pathway. We want to see you succeed. We want you to be successful. And I always say this in every ceremony, I love this ceremony, because you are the injection of new energy, new blood, in the work we call policing our neighborhoods, together with our community, together with our residents. and understand that you're taking on the baton of service from those who walk this pathway before you. But please note, as I always say, that we are excited to have you, that we are willing to work with you, but remember these words: I expect nothing but excellence from you. I demand your best vision or version of yourself in the community. And I and your supervisors, your leaders, your partners will accept nothing less. So I'd like to
Milwaukee
also
Police
read another
Chief Jeffrey
famous
Norman
quote.
welcoming that new police recruit class. We're almost at the end of the Wisconsin Live Desk. We're going to take one more break.
Don't say, hey, I'm out here working all down.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
You work.
Welcome back to
for
the
our
Live
city.
Desk. Again, let's go back to Chief Norman.
You care and you work for your department. You take care of those two things, you're taking care of me. So please remember that. You know that I expect that. So congratulations again. Together we are better. And for all of those who are in attendance and across my class 324, may you stay safe and healthy. God bless you all.
You just heard Milwaukee's Police Chief Jeffrey Norman welcoming in Class 324. Our Jason Calvi is covering this story. He'll have much more coming up on our news this afternoon. We're also following some developments that are happening out in California. This is a courtroom in San Francisco, a hearing over who has authority over the National Guard. This is California's Governor Newsom suing the Trump administration, saying that the federal government does not have the right to send 4,000 National Guardsmen to a state without the request of the governor. This, of course, all surrounding the immigration debate where the Trump administration has sent National Guardsmen to the LA area and other Democratic states that are led by Democrat governors, cracking down on immigration raids. And those states are saying that they are unfairly being targeted, first and foremost, and secondly, that this is borderline over-policing because that is not the role of the National Guard. The audio this afternoon has not been the greatest in this hearing. You see the three-judge panel. They're joining via Zoom, and those are just folks who are interested in this in the hearing room. No testimony or anything will be actually happening in that hearing room.
That was a week ago. The The supplemental declaration confirms the situation on the ground has not changed. There's still ongoing violence and an extraordinary hate for the guard in Los Angeles even today. Paragraph 4 explains that the federal building in Los Angeles, the one that had been breached the week before, has still been closed since June 9th. And again, concludes that the guard is essential to protecting that property.
And then the third situation that we are following this afternoon, the tensions rising between Israel and Iran. Our live shot is switching between Tehran and Jerusalem. It is quiet now. That is a welcome sight. It's been 5 days of back and forth shelling between Israel, which started with the surprise attack on Iran, targeting Iran's nuclear facilities, its scientists, and President Trump in the past couple of days has weighed in saying that there is zero room for Iran to have a nuclear program. So we're watching that. We're also thinking of a Wisconsinite from Wauwatosa who just left last week on a trip of a lifetime, Birthright, a trip that many Americans, Jewish Americans, take to Israel to discover or to get in touch with their heritage. She left a couple days ago. She is leading this group, and this conflict begins while they are over there. And the last couple of days, they've just been moved from place to place to place as they try to stay safe. When we last spoke, they had arrangements. They were going to take a boat to Cyprus and then try to get a flight back to the United States. I also want to give you an update. This one is reported by People magazine. They are reporting that R. Kelly was rushed to a hospital because of an overdose. There was a filing that was made on the 17th, claiming that on the 12th of June, prison officials he was in solitary confinement. Prison officials gave him anxiety and sleeping meds, but an overdose, they are claiming, in a direct attempt on his life. That is the claim. So we're going to follow that, more on that. And then we want to leave you this afternoon with more of the police graduation as recruit class 324 is officially being sworn in.
Police Officer Kiara Kelmies, pinned by her father, Kevin Kelmies.
Second police recruit class of the year. We'll have much more on our news